Good morning, good evening, wherever you are, across this nation or around the globe. I am your hostess with the mostest, Kelly Robertson, aka Earth Song Lovecraft. This is a Beacon News 777 production of Deja Brew Podcast. Today, I implore you to listen. I implore you to open your mind, and I implore you to use your inner wisdom that is within your DNA for your discernment, your intuitive gifts, and the knowing that you need at this time. Because we are indeed within biblical days. We are indeed in a spiritual warfare. We are 6 days from the eclipse. An eclipse that is so powerful in magnitude that it is the defining factor. Do we make it or do we break it? Do we walk in fear or do we walk in awe and possibility with zero doubt that we too are creators and that collectively we can co-create the world that we desire and deserve? Allow me to educate you. Allow me to enlighten you into what our current affairs are, where we're at, and where we can go. Let's begin here.
But why? Got a little storm coming in here, do we? Oh wait, no, that's not storm. Look, hold on. We got a little trail activity going on up there in the sky. Hold on. This is real time on radar. Hold on, let's see what's going on. Let's see what. Oh wow! Hey, you call that a flyover? Another one. Well, isn't that great? Nothing go wrong here. Here or here, as they're flying by. You can see it on radar, leaving little trails. Yeah, that's man-made. That's them doing that. That's actually some kind of weather modification taking place right now over my own location. Okay, all right, great, wonderful.
Weather
Perfect.
modification that happened in our past not even 24 hours. Weather modification that, from my vantage point, caused the local weather reporters to be bumfuzzled and baffled. Not because of the man made effects that were fueling the storm, because they were full well aware of that and trying to warn the people. They know those echoes. They know that they're different than natural phenomenon. They're not stupid people. But they found themselves bewildered today and befuddled in my area. I woke up this morning at 7 a.m. with tornado warnings in my area. Ground Zero was my home for one of those warnings. My brother and I, knowing how to control things, stepped outside and we parted the storm. Within 5 minutes, the weather reporters were saying the warnings had been dropped, the storms had dissipated. They didn't understand why, And they spent the next 25, 30 minutes explaining and rationalizing why they had issued the warnings to begin with. Because there was reason for the warnings. But they could not understand where the storm went. We repeated this very same process in the evening hours at around 4:30, when again tornado warnings were issued for our specific area. And again, these storms had dissipated and these warnings were then dropped immediately. And the weatherman, who's the expert of the channel, the leader, began to explain how storms can pop up and go away so quickly that they may issue a warning that will last only 5 to 10 minutes and then be completely dropped because the storm moves through that quickly. Yet, that was not the case. They just couldn't explain it. We have power and we have domain. And the reason that I bring this to the forefront of this particular podcast, before showing you all of the evidence that we are in fact in a binary star system, we are in fact in for one hell of a ride, and we are in fact in a spiritual war of biblical proportions. I bring this to you first to give you hope, to give you confidence, to give you strength and willpower that will have zero doubt, because that's the key component. And that is how we win. That is how we do better than just survive whatever's coming. Because there are nefarious people, or souls, shall we say, that would just assume render us helpless and at their mercy. They would just assume that you feel less than, so that they can then feel more inferior and important. We can part storms. We can put the shields of our planet back up. We can diffuse an earthquake or a volcano, calm a tsunami. We are that powerful. And we have 6 days for you to know that. Let me bring your attention to a NASA press briefing about the eclipse that, to my knowledge, has never happened.
When you experience an eclipse, you feel that connection with space.
Oh my gosh!
Look at the ray structure.
The universe is out there and it's affecting us. We are in space.
And here it comes, there's the diamond ring. And that is the most spectacular sight.
Did you hear him? The eclipse affects us because we are part of all of it. We are part of space. Though we often see ourselves as different because we are earthbound. We put ourselves in a box, but we're connected to all of it. And it affects us.
you haven't seen it, you haven't seen anything.
Hello, everyone. I'm Acting NASA Press Secretary Faith Mackey, and thank you for joining us this morning as we look forward to the upcoming total solar eclipse on April 8th. During today's press conference, you'll learn more about what to expect during the eclipse, how you can participate, how NASA and government agencies will use the eclipse to advance science, and how to view it safely. Today's participants include NASA Administrator Bill Nelson, NASA Deputy Administrator Pam Melroy, NASA Associate Administrator Jim Free, Director of NOAA's Office of Space Weather Observations El Sayed Talat, and NASA Eclipse Program Manager Kelly Karek. After remarks from each of our participants, we will gladly take questions from the media. Now I'll hand it over to Administrator Nelson to kick us off.
And I want you to please take note that she just said, and he will reiterate, they want our participation.
Good morning. Before we get started, we were supposed to have the Federal Highway Administrator, Shailene Batt, with us this morning. You've probably seen the emergency that's happening in Baltimore. Our thoughts are certainly with them. Our prayers are with the people and the families involved. I've often said that at NASA,
And please let me remind you of the previous video podcasts that I've made where I've already given my opinion of what happened with that boat and the bridge. This was an EMP from the sun because of the uptick that is going on due to our binary star that is short-circuiting many electrical components, radio signals, satellites, boats, and otherwise. And they know.
our mission is for all humanity, and that's because space brings us together. There's no better proof than moments like this, a total solar ellipse.
Ellipse, reading from a
It's a
teleprompter.
moment when millions of people across North America will look to the heavens as the moon passes in front and between the sun and the earth. And it's a rare sight that we haven't seen in 7 years. And unusual things start to happen as the
And did they do this 7 years ago? Did we have a press conference 7 years ago? I think not.
normal rhythms of Earth are
Listen.
disrupted. When you're seeing this eclipse, you ought to observe this. As the day appears to turn to dusk and then dark, people have heard birds stop singing.
Hmm.
They've seen giraffes suddenly begin to gallop.
Hmm.
Roosters start crowing and crickets chirp. So watch for these unusual behaviors. And we encourage you to help NASA observe the sights and sounds
Help
around
them.
you. Eclipses have a
A special power.
power. They move people to feel a kind of reverence for the beauty of our universe. Their power is not only to unify us on Earth, but to further science and discovery. In 1919,
And before he says that, I implore you to tune into your senses on the day of the eclipse. Stand firm in your faith, plant your feet to that ground, Feel its energy, embrace it, embrace the energy of the sun, and hope and create and focus your thought on positive things to come. 1919.
Albert Einstein's theory of gravitational bending was proven when
Gravitational
scientists
bending.
measured how stars shift when the sun is blocked out by the moon.
What's this? Stars will shift position when the moon blocks out the sun to the earth. Gravitational bending. No, I don't recollect ever being taught that in school, do you? And I know a whole hella lot about Einstein, but I don't recall reading about that. Now, I'm not saying he didn't write about it, and I'm not saying it isn't real. What I'm saying is that you should read between lines. And if he's bringing this up to you, gravitational bending, stars being in a different position, use your intellect. Either A, that's a pole shift, where the stars will be in a new position, or B, this is indeed gravitational bending that creates the stars to be in a different position from another effect, and you will then see planet X in its system, because planet X is not a planet. Planet X is a star, and I will prove that in this podcast as well.
And today, over a century later, a total solar eclipse still brings great opportunity in science. Pam is going to share a little bit more about how NASA missions will use this rare moment to advance science. Safety is always NASA's #1 priority, and that remains true. You have the proper eye protection, like the eclipse glasses. And as you look at the heavens on April the 8th, when the eclipse starts, please, please put those glasses on. Now, I'm going to hand it over to Pam.
Now, that's the end of the clip. Why would the New York Post only provide that 5.5 minute clip rather than the entire public statement? And note that he asked for your assistance in what you feel and observe in the moments of the eclipse. And also notice that he encourages you to leave your eclipse sunglasses on, even during the eclipse itself, where, in my understanding, we should be safe to remove them and look at the heavens with our naked eye. I personally will be looking at it with a telescope, a camera, and my naked eye to see exactly what all is in the sky to view at that time. I will be taking great notes. Now, let me also share this. Is this the one? Wait a minute. This is the one that I want to share next. Let me make sure that it's going to share. Here we go.
the stellar in close proximity to the Earth disturbs the Earth's energy field and induces the creation of plasma. Planetary cores, once ejected from their parent stars, start creating matter due to the huge change in energy between the core and the vacuum of space. Stellar cores, because of their severe energy depleted state, trigger this matter creation process. And you may look at Article 560 entitled Planet X reveals that planets are smaller versions of their parent stars for more details.
Now, please observe that. Planet X reveals that planets are smaller versions of their parent stars. We have Venus, Jupiter, both gas planets, but we call them planets, yet they're actually baby stars. Jupiter, in particular, in my personal scientific research, and that of Mud Fossil University, if you wish to go check out his research, he agrees that Jupiter is actually birthing planets for our solar system, much like our sun does. Our parent star also births planets. Jupiter birthed Venus. It's in our history. Look it up. And it's about to birth a new one in that big red storm that's on it. My point here is a binary star that we call Planet X is one and the same, but larger, much larger.
Thus, the occurrence of strong and more frequent earthquakes points to the arrival of one of these large Planet X objects in order to start absorbing energy from the Earth. As a result of the Sun's current weakness, it is likely that larger and larger Planet X objects come to the Earth to absorb energy. And you may look at Article 647 entitled Holographic Moon, the Sun is not emitting light. And here you see a screenshot that was created by Scott Sion showing the 7.1 magnitude earthquake in Peru, which occurred on Friday, March 1st, 2019. And the map also shows a moderate strength earthquake in northern Argentina and two in Central America, indicating that the region was being affected by plasma ejections occurring deep underground in these regions.
Now, it was being affected by plasma ejections from our sun that went into our planet because the shields were down and then created earthquakes. This has been going on for a while, guys. And now we're in a real uptick. I'm going to share this link with you so that you can watch this in its entirety because it's very, very informative. But I'm going to move on now, and I'm going to point out and remind everyone that for the last 2 years,
How are y'all? It is.
our good governor of Arkansas, among other governors, have been planning for this particular eclipse. Just a brief intro.
It's exciting to be here and be joined with this incredible group behind me that is working diligently as we prepare for the solar eclipse coming up. The countdown is literally on. We had a countdown clock in our meeting this morning, and Arkansas is getting prepared for what we expect to be a great day here in the state. I want to start by thanking everybody who has joined us, particularly Director Lori Tudor, who is not only here but has been an integral part of the planning and is hosting us here this morning. Director A.J. Gary, Director Delaney Thomas, Secretary Shay Lewis, Secretary Jacob Oliva, Secretary Christy Putnam, Secretary Renee Mallory, making sure I haven't missed any of our team back here, Colonel Hager with State Police, as well as members of the Department of Transportation, Parks and Tourism, and our law enforcement and National Guard entities have all been working closely together over not only the last couple of months, but frankly for the last couple of years, planning and making sure Arkansas is prepared. Next month's eclipse has the potential to be one of the largest tourism events in our state history, and we want to make sure that we are prepared for the influx of visitors that we expect to come here to the state. State agencies have been aware of this event and preparing for the last several months, and it's an exciting moment for the state of Arkansas, but we want to make sure that it goes as seamlessly as possible. As we outline our actions and
Now, again, I will share the link. I won't bore you with the entire 24-minute public statement, but they've been doing this for 2 years, preparing. They are literally closing off every single exit to the state of Arkansas for all truckers for the day of the eclipse, the day before the eclipse, and the day after the eclipse. They have emergency preparedness along all exits, complete with medical aid, food and water, and gasoline. Do you seriously think that they don't know what's happening? And it's not something to be alarmed about, but it is something to be prepared for. Now, I want to bring your attention to more things that are happening in the last couple of days.
We'll go over to the Tsunami Warning Center, though, and hit refresh one more time. As you can see, it's. You guys can share the stream now, by the way, if you want. Get it out to everybody, and they can just tune in. They should be able to rewind. I think rewind is on here. If it's not, it will be saved back as a video when I'm done, and you guys can share it out then. All right. All right, let's get this show on the road, guys. Hello again. It is now 10:29 p.m. Central Time, 2nd of April, 2024. We are here, of course, looking at the earthquakes. If you have not heard,
For anybody that could hear the puppy, my husky just had babies, and one of them was lost, and I picked it up and scared it half to death when I picked it up to give it back to the mom. Sorry about the interruption.
a large earthquake struck about 3 hours ago over in the West Pacific at Taiwan. Let's get a display capture open so you can see what I see. You're going to hear the ding of the bell as new earthquakes strike. I'll kind of put this back for a few minutes on so that we don't have to hear the bell ding every second. But big earthquake struck over here on the shores of Taiwan, and we'll go get the stats from the USGS right here. 7.4 is where they have it at now. Wind as high as 7.5. There was some tsunami activity that was reported. We'll go over to the Tsunami Warning Center, though, and hit refresh one more time. As you can see, it says no tsunami warning advisory, watch or threat in the West Pacific. So when the first earthquake was reported, there was two different sevens that were reported. When it was first reported, they did generate a tsunami advisory warning for the potential of a tsunami, but no tsunami developed, or if it was just localized around the area around Taiwan. Now, but if you go check the buoys from the National Data Buoy Center, you'll see we have buoys that are picking up the actual seismic event going as far south and as far east on the Izu Ridge, north of Guam. Let me show you where these spots are. So here is where the big earthquake struck, and then going as far south as Central Philippines here. And the buoy's going into event mode south this year, and over to here, look what's there. See these red lines? These red lines are plate boundaries between the Pacific plate, Asia, and so forth. And this, of course, is its own separate plate that connects up into Japan and as far south as Indonesia. So what led up to this? Where did this come from? Why are we dealing with 7.0 level activity? To the surface, and the wave is coming up to the surface, and that's what's the shallower law. Year, not to be confused with the seasons of Mother Earth, which is the tilt of the Earth, and just the vegetation and things that grow on the surface. This does have to do, though, with the tilt of the Earth. So when we get to that far tilt in the winter, right at the point where it's going to start going back towards the other way, supposedly. I don't know if we're tilting this round thing or a flat
Now, you may
thing.
be asking, why am I showing you this and why is it pertinent if it's just a seasonal thing? Simple answer, because all of these cycles, all of these cyclical things are clicking into place like clockwork, all culminating at the same time. So they are all pertinent. Now, let's go to this one. This was a real oopsie on behalf of the news team. I have lag thanks to the storms. There it goes. Bear with me.
System observations whatsoever. That being said, this policy, like any other, is subject to the occasional fluke. In other words, it's Murphy's Law. If anything can go wrong, it will. And in the case of ABC News affiliate in Sacramento, California, KCRX, in a live pre-dawn telecast on January 14th, news chopper, they reported an observation of a planet they could not explain. Let's briefly view.
We are back. It is a celestial rock in space, if you will. Dirk, okay, Dirk, what is it? We're like, it's a planet? Is it?
That's interesting. I mean, is it the moon? I don't know. You'd have to back up. I'd have to be outside to really see, but that looks like a point of light. But if it's close to the sun with the sun, we see this thing.
Right? Is that a myth?
No, I would say that it's a planet, yeah, but
it's Saturn.
It's hard.
Okay, Tamara wants to one. She's been Googling.
No, that can't be Saturn unless there's an eclipse going on. No, because you don't see Saturn as with a chunk taken out of it.
Maybe
you only see the moon that have a chunk like that. No, if you see a chunk taken out of it like that, would be Venus. Because it's on the inside planet. Saturn and Jupiter, they're all outside planets from Earth.
And like when you stop by the weather stations that you will stumble into.
I need to go outside and see it so I can be sure what I'm looking at.
Chopper so you can investigate properly.
Oh, I'd love to.
Agreed.
Yeah, go up in the KCRA Observatory and get back to us. Thank you, Dirk.
All right.
That you can then decide for yourself. Is the NBC News the first mainstream television network to unwillingly report on Niburu? After we will present analysis.
Now, do you remember? Just a few weeks ago, I shared a video with you of something that looked like a star, a sun, that was in between our observatory and the sun for Soho. Remember? And I also did a video almost exactly 1 year ago in March of the very same thing. It's out there. It's very real.
Of this new report. What is important to remember about this live pre-dawn report is that it was there live. What you see is a real-time feed from just after takeoff in the early morning. Well, let's review a series of video frames taken from this news report. Here you see that the instrument is imaging an object in the sky, and it is fairly round. Difficult for the camera to give us accurate details. However, with a color shift analysis, when we look at just the outline of the object. In this image, we see that the cameraman is fully zoomed in to a very tight set. At this point the question is, are we seeing a lens aberration? With this in mind, remember that these images are being captured from a moving helicopter. So what we do see is natural movement. So what exactly are we looking at? Two planets. The first is Venus. In Einstein drew this conclusion with the limit for January 14, as depicted in the Solar System Scope program. In the alignment of Mercury and its relative size, we can rule out that planet as well. Which brings us to Venus. On this day, it was in an inferior. This is why Venus appears as a black disk, as it eclipses Niburu. To help put this in perspective, what is presented to us on Earth is the night side of Venus. Conversely, were Venus in a superior conjunction on the opposite side of the Sun, we would see its full day side. This brings us to the question: where exactly was Venus, in relationship to the Sun, during this pre-dawn live helicopter video feed? That February 14th. Here we see that precise alignment with the Starry Night third of the screen. This represents the horizon, as it was seen from Sacramento on that day. And here you see that the Sun was below the horizon at that time. However, Venus, which is direct. Now let's assemble the various alignments we have into a complete picture. The key to this is that let's use this photograph of Venus transiting the Sun. It is a black dot. And a commercial jet also captured in this photograph is equally black. This is consistent with the Sun. In the live pre-dawn KCRA news broadcast. This brings us to the final question of the analysis. Was Venus eclipsing Nibiru, as our analysis shows? In this KCRA broadcast, two planets were imaged. To understand why one is dark, and one is bright. When it is directly behind our Sun. Before us, we see its day side. This was the case on January 14th, where Venus is directly in front of the Sun, and Nibiru is directly behind it. But is it really Nibiru? Operating images, on both accounts. Yes, when we look at the field of view from Sacramento, when that live camera feed was broadcast. The constellation Aquila was above and to the left of the Sun, with Venus and Nibiru. This is consistent with what we have reported in previous videos during the same relative span of time. Here we see an image by Rich Rupp, taken on December 13th, in support of his own naked eye. The same region of the sky as a published observation by the Skyview team on October 21st. Note where
And I'm just going to interrupt here. Just say that I have my own photographs from just not even quite a week ago, 5 days ago, I think, that I took of the sky, where there is something very distinct behind a multitude of chemtrails, making a prism of rainbow glow that was clearly not our sun, just about an hour before sunset. And I'll include them in this video. Interesting how when you're over the target, you will lose your internet connection. So as I was saying, the skies of chemtrails for all of these other mystery excuses, or for something much, much larger. And is it larger than us? No, because we are who we've been waiting for. And we can change these outcomes very, very effectively. Current news. If I can get Taiwan has had an earthquake in the last 24 hours. Tsunami waves of up to 3 meters to reach large areas of Japan's southwest coast in the last 24 hours. said tremors were felt in parts of China's southeastern Fujian province. And look at the destruction. Quake felt all over Taiwan and offshore islands. Is the strongest in 25 years. Do you still think we are not in big changes of biblical proportions? We can expect more of this to come within the coming days, the coming weeks, the coming months. And it's up to us how far reaching these effects are. Because you are powerful and you can use first anticipate these energetic events because you are an energetic being. Much like I parted the storms today.
我不确定有些东西是100%它全值，就是最大的那个在达成酿酒厂，因为他直接把它买下来的。我是查新闻才知道，你知道吗？所以以前我是想说，哦，这是我岳母的男朋友嘛，那他有时候来跟他聊聊，有在弄股票或什么的，就稍微聊一下。然后
Disaster relief and minimize
后来知道说，哦。
Schools and work have been suspended amongst the continuing aftershocks. And yes, this matters to the entire what's happening right now anywhere in the world. Because the interior of our planet is reacting to two suns being in near proximity of one another.
有瓦斯。
There will be more of this in many places. It's time for you to be ready. And to be ready, to be prepared, means to know thyself. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we are who we've been waiting for. And the world as we know it, it is about to change. And this is the Great Awakening. Let's check in with our Earth Watchman.
Doing well and having a great day. A lot of activity in the skies here lately, and this is
I'm sorry, what is this? We have a piece of the ISS that has suddenly come crashing to Earth in Florida?
Space Station of a gigantic pallet of old batteries is to blame. Years ago, NASA tossed a massive pallet of old batteries, right there it is, from the International Space Station, hoping that it would burn up through the Earth's atmosphere. A few weeks ago, the space station finally did re-enter through the atmosphere, but a piece of it may have survived. And
do you seriously believe that it took 3 years to get from the ISS back to Earth? Come on, guys. Think.
2-pound cylinder-shaped object crashed through the roof of a family home in Naples, Florida, creating a hole in the ceiling and the floor. The incident coincided with the re-entry of the ISS pallet. And here's what it looked like. This is what came through the rooftop right here. That apparently survived re-entry. There's one photo. House. Gentleman goes on to say, hello, looks like one of those pieces missed Fort Myers and landed in my house in of the ceiling. And apparently there was somebody in that room, a very close call. And the odds of astronomical. However, it looks like it may have. This thing does look like a battery. If you Google International Space,
It's got a code chill.
what came through the roof of their home in Naples, Florida. And this is indeed a ISS battery. That's a diagram of the layout of the batteries that they use on the International Space Station. And I did a simple of the United States where there's been a flurry of activity in the sky out here as well. Some sort of space debris re-entering the atmosphere. One of the incidents was reported at the American Meteor Society April 2nd, 2024 at 1:40 in the morning. 85 reports out of California. And this was well after the SpaceX rocket launch. Check this out. I put together a collection of videos that were shared with me by different people that witnessed the rocket launch. And the first video you're about to see is of the rocket launch itself from April 1st, 2020. Out of Lake Havasu City, Arizona. And you can clearly see the rocket. We were going to try to videotape the rocket from over here in the Phoenix area, but it was just too cloudy. We could only maybe get a possible glimpse of it. As you can see, even Howrad was dealing with clouds in Lake Havasu City, which is right on the California-Arizona border. He had a much better view than I did. Otherwise, I was going to try to do a live stream of the event if we had a good view, but we simply had way too many. City, Arizona. Thank you, Howrad. Great video footage. Going from Lake Havasu City to Upland, California. Video footage sent in by Chris. This video was 6 minutes and 30 seconds long, so I put it in fast forward. Same rocket launch, different location. You can they had 0 clouds in the field of view, so they had an excellent opportunity to film the rocket launch, and we've all seen these by now. Launch that is quite mysterious. And right here they on the ground. Check that out. That is the booster that took the rocket up. It was
That's a good boost back. Wow, that's a long one.
And again, this is the booster safely returning after launching the rocket up in the sky. Now's where it gets mysterious. We're going back out to the west coast of the United States. I just shared that with you because it was another excellent example very large and very loud. This was about 6 hours after the rocket launch, visible from Lake Havasu, visible obviously from California. This video has narration by Andrew.
Yeah, you guys looking at that? What?
And there were other people in the background, multiple witnesses here, about how crazy that looked. And here's the video in fast forward. This thing was big, whatever it was. But one thing we can clarify, it wasn't the rocket booster. It wasn't either one of the rocket boosters from the most recent rocket launches, because we saw them both safely land back on rocket launch from California. We saw the video footage of those landing. That was not 300 miles to the north. Described it as falling by during the early morning hours of April 1st, 2024 at 5:57 a.m. Has narration. Here we go. Okay, most people aren't going to be taken back like that by an airplane. Space debris falling through the sky as an airplane. What she was looking at didn't seem describing it as something large falling through the sky, also visible. Down, but
Now, I show you this because we're also going to be seeing more meteors because they're coming with this binary system. So we're going to be seeing more meteors, bigger meteors, closer meteors, more impacts of meteors because our shields are weakened at this time around our planet. If you don't believe me, look it up. The shields are down. A lot of the times they're in great flux. Magnetic north is fluctuating back and forth even. So it's pertinent for you to understand that these things are taking place. Now, I want to show you one more thing from Dutch Sense. This is current earthquake activity over the last 4 hours. This time we will not get knocked down. There are shooting stars in our sky at this time. I don't know why this screen didn't get larger. Crazy ass lag. I hate it when they mess with my stuff. Irritating. Look, it won't even give it. It won't give me the thing to make it bigger. Here we go. Now it's gonna load all. Maybe.
Rising up, back on the street. Did my time, took my chances. Went the distance, now I'm back on my feet. Just a man and his will to. So many times.
Well, we're just gonna have to listen to his intermission music for a moment till he comes back on, because this was live and it's not allowing me to make the screen bigger so that I can fast forward through this a bit. So you'll just have to bear with me here and enjoy the music. We just gotta roll with it. Time to remind you that we
It seems I have the right to stay.
of making all of these changes less extreme, more comfortable, and more survivable for the multitudes. And that gives us the ability to have amplified co-creative power come together on that day and view the eclipse in all of its glory with hope and focused intention on a beautiful future. No fear, no worry, no pain, only beauty. We are full of potential and we are God's children. Believe that. Walk in that faith. And have that pride and ego that is necessary and healthy to go through this changing times ahead of us.
And ask me
With
not
zero
to
doubt
leave.
and 100% confident that we can and we will, through our willpower, do beautiful things for our future. Paths are converging and changing, Mandela effects, deja vu, etc. This is our moment to create that quantum leap, that bridge that we wish to obtain, and move to that optimal timeline, that optimal way of life. We are who we've been waiting for. And with our will, we will create collectively a beautiful planet for all.
May I have your attention, please? May I have... Will the real Slim Shady please stand up? I repeat, will the real please stand up? We're gonna have a problem here. I was all on the floor like Pam, like Tommy just burst in the door and started whooping her ass worse than before. They first got divorced, throwing her over furniture. It's the return of the... Oh, wait, no, wait, you're kidding. He didn't just say what I think he did he? And Dr. Dre said, nothing you idiots, Dr. Dre's dead, he's locked in my basement. Feminist women love him and them. Chicka Slim Shady, I'm sick of him. Look at him, walking around, grabbing his you-know-what, living the you-know-who. Yeah, but he's so cute, though. Yeah, I probably got...
Doppelganger caused no serious damage. The replica was convincing.
Very convincing, but not perfect.
Not perfect in what way?
Well, sir.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to figure out a way to get through this a little quicker. All right, rather than carrying on with Dutch sense, I want to share something else with you real quick before we end this. Because I was shown in one of my many visions throughout my life to show me what is coming and what to expect. In 2007, the vision that I had many, many sevens in it that I would know would be the markers. Here are your markers.
There was an eclipse that took place 7 years ago. Another eclipse coming right across America. It'll make a perfect cross on the center of the nation.
God made the first sign go through 7 cities named Salem on August 21st, 2017.
The word Salem, according to the Bible, is peace. So God is saying 7 times he offers peace. The next eclipse is coming. It goes through several cities here. Nineveh, Nineveh, Nineveh. Nineveh, Nineveh. Jonah gave only the sign of Jonah will be shown to you, and that's right here now. 7 and 7. 7 cities called Nineveh, and 7 years apart. Right in the center of the cross is a city called Rapture. What is God's message? I've got 40 days. We've got to repent and seek God. Coming very, very soon.
Seek God like never before. Know thyself. We have approximately 46 days to join God's army. Are you ready to know thyself? Are you ready to defeat the dark and usher in the light? Time will tell. Be well and be blessed in love and light.